Iarlach, Wadlam Arar Dús, Gwynne Buíachas an Jesho, all Lauert, Modulish, and Brathimocht, agus an Bagart atá an Dunchir Shaw. Tá an Realtas Dócasach, na mai an Dile Shaw Horavain Corbe, Gumai sé Focta an Shelf, Mar Dorch an Tonishta. A Cahimuj Vehre, the Brathimocht gan Sucru, agus leis an Bile Shaw, Baimuj Hore agus Isfeja. Dordi an Chakta Catherine Candy Puncha Chatan Shakache go Clodge Quinu Kimblina the Conor na Gaelga Valyamunachan and Chatan Shakache Nakrawan and Tudras Lucha Sibilla. Bonamara will Udras na Gaelt at Equaibo Rehanama the Gnivakti Stat Ella Maravanan Shela Horchiga Cordeha Modulish and Brathimocht. Le na cos sin tá an túdras a gobar a Slava céile le Frontroch Éireann chun a cinú a ghfuil na takeíochtaí atá ar fáil de cólachtaí a tagann faoi scat na heagrachtaí sin ar fáil chomh maith de chlaint cólachtaí de cuid an údras. Sa chóteach sin fiúlum a luach ghfuil memram chótiiscinne a bhaim le taman le blianta nuas idir údras na Gaeltachta agus Frontroch Éireann. Rud a cinsíonn ghfuil fáil le cólachtaí Gaeltachta ar scémanna éagsúla takeíochta a chordan Frontroch Éireann ar fáil ar fud na tíre. De tuire seo agus go deimhin an cóibriú leanúnach atá idir an dá agriocht. Ba fáil le chlaint cólachtaí údras na Gaeltachta ar na deisina agus na hacunaí céine a bhaid ar fáil de cólachtaí atá faoi sca Frontroch Éireann mar tuire ar an achtú an bille omnibus. Ní call them mará a bhfuil teangháil rialta idir feimení na rinn cultúr, aideacht agus Gaeltachta agus feimení na rinn Fiontacha Gnó agus Nuaíochta. Faoin ábhar seo agus go natníonn an dá rinn an gá go mbíonn údaras na Gaeltachta agus Fiontacha Éireann in an na takeíocht céine a tairiscint do chuid chlaint cólachtaí faoi sca. Tá mé sásta nach gá an túdras lua sa bille seo. I think it's fair to say that the team that have worked, first of all, on the preparation of this bill, the officials within the Attorney General's office and the OPC, Office of Parliamentary Council, the drafters who have worked late nights and weekends over the last period of time to deliver this Brexit omnibus bill, have to be commended. Must be a difficult situation to be in, to be preparing legislation that you hope won't be enacted, but that is what we are here to do, to ensure that we are ready for the unthinkable. I'd like to acknowledge the Brexit team within government who have served the country well. It's a difficult time, to An Taoiseach, An Taoiseach, and to Minister McEntee. And indeed the cross-party support that has been shown over a long number of years now in relation to Brexit. I'd like to acknowledge and thanks to all our EU colleagues who value the principle of collegiality. And, as an EU member state, and it was stated at a committee in the House of Commons recently that the treatment of Ireland as a small member state is clearly of much interest, and I think the recognition of Ireland wanting and wishing to be a continued and strong member of the European Union is something that all of the member states have shown an affinity to, and that has to be noted as well. I think protecting the concept of a strong Europe, a haven of peace and prosperity, is again something that's hugely important. It is regrettable that, in the United Kingdom, in advance of the referendum and for a long number of years and perhaps decades, that the print media, or certain aspects of the print media, only told a negative story about the European Union. Before that, in the EEC and before the European Union, I think that is regrettable. That it was all one-sided in terms of negativity and not, advocating and showing the positives that the European Union has brought to the United Kingdom and, of course, across Europe. As former member of the European Affairs Committee and Vice Chair for a period of time, together with Deputy Durkin on that committee, at the time when we were thinking about the referendum. Would a referendum actually take place? We weren't sure. That was before the 2015 UK election. Depending on the result of that, if a referendum would actually take place. And then we were thinking and hypothesising what would happen if the UK voted to leave, but Scotland voted to stay, Northern Ireland voted to stay, Wales voted to stay, and all these sort of issues that have worked their way out to a sort of a combined EU decision to exit, and we regret that, and whilst others have said also whilst respecting the decision, the democratic decision that is made. But we also must remember that Brexit is not our policy. It's having a huge impact on this country in terms of uncertainty, in terms of possibly consumer confidence, in terms of in terms of time spent preparing for it. But we will have to deal with the extensive fallout that would happen from a no-deal Brexit. And no matter what deal, even if a deal is secured, Brexit will never be as good as what we have now, as others have said. Its possible impact on every sector of business and society is reflected in this bill. Security, healthcare, education, business. I mean, the implications of trading relationships which have delivered prosperity, security and an improved quality of life for millions of Europeans are very serious. The mechanics of trade are threatened. The transport sector left scratching its head on what the possible effects are, the implications for the land bridge to Europe through Britain, the extra costs and delays, the knock-on effects of raw materials for our manufacturing sector being delayed and the resulting impact on our competitiveness and increased costs. The possible impact of Brexit on agriculture is very worrying. There's been a very serious drop in confidence in the beef sector in particular. And the sector has always had been difficult from a profit returns point of view, but a no-deal Brexit will be an enormously serious blow to a vital sector, in particular in the west of Ireland, on some of the more marginal lands that we have in the west, but of course nationwide. The prospects of tariffs damaging the competitiveness of Irish beef in our dominant market is almost unthinkable. Beef and suckler farmers are leaving the sector on a daily basis, and a bad Brexit would only hasten that process. Beef and suckler farmers, as I said, are concentrated on the west coast, and the consequence of a beef collapse would leave a permanent scar in the communities in those areas. And the experience is that once farmers leave the sector, it's difficult to get them back. Of course, the down-the-line impacts on jobs in the meat industry and service sector will be considerable and have a disproportionate negative effect on these jobs. and these jobs are located in rural areas and will be very difficult to replace. If we lose the suckler herd on which the quality beef sector is based, it will be very difficult to replace. I don't wish to labour the point, but rural Ireland is very vulnerable to trade difficulties in all sectors between North and South and to Britain. And again, local engineering and manufacturing companies whose first step is exporting would almost naturally be to Northern Ireland and Britain are vulnerable to sudden change. Even currency fluctuations during the Brexit process has brought hardship to many of those. These are often family-owned SMEs whose existence is crucial to their locality, and their difficulties will have a disproportionate effect. I'd also like to pay tribute to the Department of Business and all the work done and resources provided to guard against the possible worst effects of Brexit. I think the work and the preparation done on this bill shows the broad depth of issues at stake here and the responses that government have provided to mitigate against the impacts of a hard Brexit, which we hope we won't see. So again, I'd like to acknowledge the cross-party support that has been indicated for this bill and to see its conclusion next week, committee and report stage.